We will hear from Dana Balish, our weekly sit down with 21 Sports Director. Dana Balish is coming up in a bit. Stick around. It's a Monday edition of Running Points on YSNLive.com.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the four words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
I'm feeling pretty good about myself. Look, I'm living the dream. Platform shoes, straight down the street. It's gonna get hot in here. I hope you can handle the heat.
Over the years, you watched us grow, and as we've done, so has the Myers Family Insurance team.
Thanks to all of you who have trusted our families to help you with your Medicare needs.
Myers Family Insurance looks forward to helping you now for years to come, so call our family today and remind them how cute we are.
Myers Family Insurance continues to be the area's resource for all your Medicare and retirement needs. Call today, 330-286-3044.
It's a Monday edition of Running Points on YSNLive.com. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hartwig, and we are joined, as always, at this time by TV21 Sports Director Dana Balish. Dana, how are you today, sir?
Doing well, Ron. Yourself?
Cannot complain. On a personal note, well done. The news department gets a nice round of applause for covering all of the stuff that went down in downtown Youngstown yesterday.
Yeah, they did a great job, and it's one of those situations, Ron, where safety comes first, and certainly, with everything going on, besides what's going on with the coronavirus and all that, they did a job well done. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
Hey, over the weekend, and I know Anthony was happy about this because he loves his softball. Over the weekend, a 92-team tournament in various softball fields across the Mahoning Valley. Hopefully, everything went well, and more importantly, we don't get a rise in the COVID in the next couple of weeks. But from what we understand, the tournament went without a hitch.
Well, it depends on what you mean. The tournament itself probably went off without a hitch, but I think the rules that were supposed to be governed, and we have video proof, Ron, probably did not go off without a hitch. No social distancing from what I could see. I heard from various people through phone calls that the coaches were not enforcing social distancing in dugouts. And again, that's what I was told. I didn't see it firsthand, but that's what I was told. And, go from there. So, it's over with. 92 teams. It was not going to be perfect. I spoke to Jeff Steiner, the tournament director, last week, when this was coming on. And, a lot of questions, Ron, about the softball. Who was going to touch the softball and that sort of thing. Did the way they were supposed to implement the balls to be used in the game. The biggest complaint that I heard, and I probably had 6-7 phone calls, is that social distancing was not being enforced and kids in the dugout were not socially distanced. Now, that's what I was told.
Yeah, and I only got to see a couple games at a couple different fields. Obviously, I couldn't be everywhere, but where I was, the guideline that they really strictly enforced was like you said, the balls. Each team had their own bucket of softballs, and they used those balls on the field. The other team used a completely different bucket of softballs on the field. They kept those separate, so the teams weren't using the same softballs when they were on the field on defense.
And again, were those balls being sanitized in between play? There's just, Ron, I think when you're dealing with something that big, and I talked to several football coaches already this morning. When you're dealing with something this big, and you want to follow the rules, you want to make sure things are being done right. And I think when you have one question, it leads to 4 or 5 other questions.
You bring up something interesting, Dana. If we fast forward to the football season, assuming that we are still under the cloud of COVID-19, how do you go about cleaning off a football? And how many footballs are going to be used during the course of a game if we have a game?
Well, and that's the point, Ron. I think there's a lot of unanswered questions that haven't been addressed because we haven't been to that situation yet. I mean, let's go back to softball and baseball real quick. Okay, the batter hits a double. Okay, in the past, the umpire would pick the bat up, the catcher would pick the bat up and toss it over to the dugout. Okay, well now, since you're not allowed, you have to use your own equipment. Does that player have to come off second base, run back to the plate, pick up his bat, take it into the dugout, then go back to second base? And I think these are questions that we just don't know. Let's go to football, okay? And again, I talked to several coaches. I've talked to probably every coach throughout this process. First of all, your huddle, okay? You're right next to each other in the huddle, so your huddle's going to change. If you're an offensive lineman, your splits are a yard. That has to change under the current conditions we're under. You're not allowed to touch anybody, so when you block, what are you going to do? And Ron, I think if you think about all those intangibles, all those little questions, what do you do about the chain crew? They're touching those things. What do you do about your officials who, the average age of a football official in Ohio is 53, right at that borderline? I mean, I know it's 65, but anybody can get this. So I think there are way too many more questions than answers right now. And how do you run practice if you're a coach? You got to have a huddle. You have to have players. You have to have 11 on 11 within 10 yards of the ball. Well, these linemen are right up against each other.
Thank God it's June, and because if we were expected to start football, it wouldn't start.
Well, Ron, I don't think football's going to start on time right now, to be honest with you. And I interviewed Pat Narduzzi last week, the head coach at Pitt, and Pat said it the best. He goes, no level of football can have an aborted season. You can't start and then stop and then expect to restart it because that's not going to happen. So I just think there's a lot of unanswered questions right now. And there could be 1,000 questions. The biggest one, Ron, is I can't see any high school athletic director agreeing or superintendent agreeing to play games without fans. Because why would you pay game day operators, your officials, and whoever else you have to pay and bring in no revenue? So I just think this is a quandary right now. My personal opinion is I think starting June 1st for football probably wasn't the best idea. I think if you wait until July, your July could become your June, your August could become your July, your September, your August, and maybe you could start the season in October. That's my personal opinion. But I just think there's way too many questions. And baseball's a non-contact sport, Ron, and there's hundreds of questions. You're coming out to a contact sport with football. You're not going to have hundreds of questions. You're going to have thousands of questions.
No question about that. Dana Balish, TV 21 sports director, no pun intended on the no question about it. Anthony started over here laughing at me. I probably should have had a better word or a better phrase for that. Dana Balish joining me on the YSN hotline. Dana, 2 weeks from yesterday, the B-League will start up. And, we've talked about the game being a little bit different. The umpires have now, the home plate umpire has the choice to either call the balls and strikes from behind the dish, or he can call the balls and strikes from behind the pitcher's mound.
Well, and again, I think that's a step, Ron, that, and again, I have confidence that, and again, I was not at these tournament games over the weekend, but I have confidence that any league that is starting is going to abide by the by the CDC guidelines. I've been told at the Class B that the bullpens and the dugouts will be one big dugout. There will be social distancing there. I understand things have to be tried to see how they're going to go, but all it takes is one situation, Ron, where it heads south, and it's going to be over for a lot of things. And everybody has an opinion whether they're starting too soon or this or that. I mean, I like the idea of the umpires, being able to make that decision, because if you're behind the plate, you're right on top of the catcher. I like that idea. I just, again, until someone experiences it and sees it, there's going to be other questions that we're not even thinking about. Simplest thing of a bat, a helmet. Everyone has to have their own helmet now. What if a helmet cracks for some unknown reason and there's not another one? Is that player out of the game? I just think there's a lot of unanswered questions. And again, a way to answer those questions is to experience it. But I think everyone, and again, Ron, I just think for baseball and softball to start and football conditioning to start today, I think they jumped the gun.
And you talked to, you had an article about the Scrappers GM, and he expects a delay of the season to start. But are they still kind of going on as if they're going to play this season and they're going to have baseball as the Scrappers?
Well, what happens with the Scrappers is the Scrappers won't start until Major League Baseball gets their agreement done. And the way things are going with Major League Baseball, I know there was a counter proposal, but I don't even think they're in the same city right now as far as coming to an agreement. So, the question of whether the Scrappers will start will be determined by Major League Baseball. The minor leagues will not start before Major League Baseball has an agreement. The owners won't let that happen. So, whenever they come to an agreement, you're going to need 3 weeks of training camp or spring training, so to speak, is what I'm reading. And so, the Scrapper season is very much in peril, I think.
Dan Navalis, TV 21 sports director, joining us on the YSN hotline. We had Munch Bishop on, and, the Players Association, they have proposed 114 games where the season would start June the 30th. The season would end, the regular season would end October the 31st. The entire month of November would be the postseason. Obviously, they want their money because they're not looking for any additional pay cuts. They'd be paid for 114 games, nothing more, nothing less. I just can't see where Major League Baseball, where this would be a good idea to have postseason baseball played in November, even if they're playing it in centralized locations where the weather is a lot warmer. I just don't see that this is a good idea because they'll get hammered in the ratings by college football and the NFL, assuming we have football.
Well, Ron, I think it's all a part of, the money. And let's face it, that's what it's all about. Should baseball be played in November and December? No, I don't think it is. Baseball's America's pastime. It's the summer sport. Obviously, what we're going through now is something that no one has ever experienced. I mean, it's unprecedented. If everything happens the way people are talking, the way it's going to happen, the months of October, November, December, I mean, you're going to have live sports 24 hours a day somewhere, something. And is it overkill? I think by that time it will be overkill. I think baseball has to – and again, it's hard for me to fathom. Okay, so Major League owners came out and said 80 games, Ron, 82 games?
82 games. Yeah, 82 games.
So you would think, in this situation, you'd kind of want to, okay, let's do what we have to do and finish the season. Well, now the players want more games in front of no fans. It just does while most leagues are kind of condensing their season, and I know you play 162 games. Baseball is the longest pro sports season. I just thought 82 would be right. I thought if they would have said, okay, I thought they had a chance. But, Ron, I don't think we're going to see baseball this year. I really don't. I think they're so far apart. I think the time's going to come. These players, most of them, 90% of them, don't need another penny. It's the younger younger players in the minor leaguers who are going to get hammered in this. When you have to talk contract and money and something like this, and baseball, I think, has a golden opportunity to kind of, set the tone a little bit, to bring some whatever you want to call it, patriotism to this country. I mean, and now it's about dollars and cents, and so I doubt very much we're going to have baseball.
Yeah, and if that's the case, and Major League Baseball gets their way and they chop 42 minor league cities, including the Mahoning Valley Scrappers, that's a double gut punch. And frankly, with the contract between the Players Association and the owners up at the end of the 2021 season, if you kill baseball this year and then kill the 42 minor league teams and have a different culture of minor league baseball in 2021, boy, did you make a stupid decision.
Well, Ron, as far as the contracts, and I've kind of kept tabs on that quite a bit. I mean, that number of 42 was a report. Now, no one knows who's on that list. That list, that so-called list, was a report out of the New York Times back on November the 19th of last year. As far as the official list, no one knows who's on that list. Now, obviously, your short season teams are probably on it. But I've talked to some people associated with the Scrappers. I've talked to some other people around Major League Baseball. I've talked to some people that not so much involved in the negotiations, but are spokespeople for the negotiations. And they says that list, when they talk about that so-called list, I mean, that changes all the time. And, am I optimistic the Scrappers could come back? I mean, there's a slight chance of optimism. Maybe the Scrappers come back in a different sense. If you look what they did out at that field, it's all about renovations. It's all about, what you did to the stadium. I mean, that stadium's 21 years old, but they added a clubhouse to it. 2 years ago, they put a brand new field in it with drainage. So what they did to that facility out there has helped their cause a little bit, in my opinion. But that list of 40, I mean, it could be 32 teams. It could be 39 teams. It could be 25 teams. That list that came out was just a list, and I think that's what we have to caution people about. There's nothing official about that list. It's just a list, and it was a reported list. So there's a slight glimmer of hope, per se. There's no list that is out there. And I think, what the Scrappers have done, I think the support that they have gotten before all this pandemic stuff started, I think it bode well. Now, does that mean they're coming back? I don't think anybody has that answer. And to be quite honest, this is not being discussed now. It was about a month ago, but because of the current baseball situation, again, they can't do anything with that until the big boys settle their contract.
Yeah, and if they don't settle, then obviously we don't have a minor league baseball season. So,
and you're right. And you're right. And again, I've been asked, well, if they don't play this year, does that mean the Scrappers come back next year? And I think, Ron, there's a good chance that would happen because I think if they don't get to what they need to do, they may let it slide one more year. And again, that would be good news.
I'm hoping that that they're not going to kill short season A ball, but that's what I was told from a variety of people that are pretty high up in Major League Baseball, that was the goal, to kill out short season A ball, that they would have rookie and short season A ball kids in their spring training facilities having games against the other teams, rookie and short A kids in the spring training facilities for the summer, and then when they were good enough to get into low A ball, then they would scoot up into low A ball.
Well, and again, I'm not doubting that. I'm just saying, as far as the Scrappers in a short season, yes. Can that be over? Certainly that could be over. That could be over for any team. But is there the possibility of maybe them coming back as something else? And I think that's where there has to be some optimism. Because if you kind of go through, again, that list, and I've done some research on it. I haven't spent a lot of time on it. But out of those 42 teams that were originally on the list, I think the Scrappers are one of, I want to say, 17, maybe 18 franchises that made improvements to its facility, and improvements to its the field and other amenities that could help that cause. So, again, that's just something that I looked at, and I'm not saying the Scrappers are back because there's no one that knows that right now. There's nothing, and I think as long as there's some optimism, there's hope.
Well, I know that if Major League Baseball does decide to do this, there's going to be lawsuits out the wazoo, because I know the city of Erie put $12 million into their ballpark. Mahoning Valley has put a ton of money into their ballpark. Chattanooga and Jackson, Tennessee put a ton of money into their ballpark as well. If this were to be the case, you'll have a lot of cities filing a lawsuit against Major League Baseball.
But I also think, Ron, the way things work with that is, okay, and you used Erie, and Erie's in the same situation as the Scrappers. They put a ton of money into the renovations of their ballpark. Now, I would think that the owner of the Erie Seawolves would have some kind of connections with someone to say, hey, you may want to hold back on that because you may not be here. That happens in this world just because of the communication. So I would think if that was the case, those renovations would not have been done. Just my opinion. I may be completely wrong on that. But I think people know so many people, and just people know people where they need to know people, especially in a business like that. So, again, Scrappers put in a new field 2 years ago. They added to the Players Clubhouse. They made some renovations, which I think bodes well. Now, if it was a 35-year-old stadium and you did nothing, yeah, I could see. Yeah, we don't want that stadium. We don't want it. Let's get out of there. But I think that's what kind of keeps the hope of, the Scrappers staying here just because of what they did.
Fingers crossed everything works out, but I do know this. We'll have some Sandlot baseball, and hopefully when we do have the Sandlot ball, all is right in the world, or at least in the Mahoning Valley.
All right, Ron, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Dana Balish, TV 21 Sports Director, joining us as always on a Monday edition of Running Point. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but look, nothing's 100%, but I'm 99.999% sure that the 42-team list is accurate as hell, and Major League Baseball's end game is to get rid of rookie and short season A-ball, and they want to also get rid of ballparks that they deem don't cut the mustard, which is why Erie, Chattanooga, Jackson, and a number of other teams, Binghamton, New York, and a number of other long season minor league clubs are on the chopping block because their field is not deemed worthy to host or to be a farm team for a major league club.
He brought up a good point that if there's no baseball this year, they'll probably let that slide for a year.
I hope so.
And the Scrappers will at least get a swan song if they are on the chopping block.
I hope so. I would hope Major League Baseball isn't that stupid,
right?
Where they realize, oh, hey, it's we're going to get rid of this anyway, and let's good night everybody, and you guys get out of here, and we're going to do our thing. No, God, no. Especially if you're not going to play baseball. All right, let's get to the phone lines. Champ, what's going on, brother?
How you guys doing? Interesting conversation with Dana. Brought something up I was thinking about. Nothing's going on right now, but I was thinking of what could potentially happen in like a mid-November weekend. And I'll just, we wake up and college football's going on. That might be the weekend of the Ohio State-Michigan game. We'll be in the third round of the Masters. We'll have the NBA playoffs and the National Hockey League playoffs. Major League Baseball will be going on, and NFL will be going on. I mean, we could have all these sports stuffed into 1 or 2 months, and you wonder, I know there's a lot of channels on TV, but now you start thinking about the rights to certain sports and how they're going to handle that.
I just think this is going to be an absolute cluster of a disaster of epic proportions for TV. I mean, we sit back and go, oh, God, this is going to be so much fun. We're going to have golf, and we're going to have football, and we're going to have baseball, and we're going to have all these sports all together. That is a traffic accident waiting to happen of epic proportions in terms of television.
Now, you've been in my family room with my television setup. I'll be fine, but I'm predicting that we could end up selling like 6.4 billion televisions during that month because some people could watch all these different sporting events. They might be a television in every room.
Well,
It's becoming a great era. We have to cancel Thanksgiving to pay for the television.
Yeah, Champ, I gotta be honest. If this happens and I have some extra money, I'm going to be investing it in television stock and battery stock because you got to have the batteries for the remote controls as well.
Well, I'm going to make a lot of money, too, because I'm going to start charging people to come over and watch television with me.
Well, you got a pretty nice setup. I mean, I may have to dig my 70-inch TV out of my cousin's basement and get that bad boy started and charge people money.
Well, I'm only charging $64 right now for the licensing seats if you want to get on board those. And, but I'm going to have trouble with parking. That's the problem. I'm going to have to maybe pay my neighbors to use their driveways for the Saturday and Sunday matinees.
Hey, you just got to have people parking in your yards like the folks in Buffalo do. Charge them $15-20, and you keep that money and make sure that you buy extra seating in the springtime so you can reseed your lawn.
Yeah, I'm going to put them to work. I got to pay that for one thing. But that was just, and actually when I think more about it, I think, wow, that's going to be a great time. But it's just bizarre. And every day we wake up to something different. I'm more optimistic, obviously, about the NBA and the National Hockey League going through, finishing their season and having the playoffs. I'm stuck on baseball because there's so much history, so much distrust. Doing contracts, and I didn't even mention the situation with the virus. I mean, that seems to be taking a back seat now because these owners and players can't get together. It's just, I don't know. I hate to. I'm a little getting tired of watching. I watched something yesterday, though, for the first time since it actually happened. I watched the entire Tuck Rule game, and I had never seen the game since it happened because I think I was still getting help. I think on Wednesday nights we have a support group, Raider fans, for that Tuck Rule game. But I did see that game for the first time in its entirety. It ran on one of the networks, and what a game that was, but it just was so bizarre the way that game ended. Bizarre.
Probably Vinatieri's most impressive kick of his career in the snow to win the game in that condition. Way more impressive than the one he kicked to win the Super Bowl in a dome that was only a 40-yard kick.
It might have been the greatest kick ever under the conditions. And I remember watching it in the replay yesterday and thinking, boy, that thing barely made it over. It was like a 48-yarder, and the conditions were horrible. And one of the key things about why that kick was successful is during this time when they were discussing the rule, the Tuck Rule, over and over again, some of the New England workers there were able to clear off spots on the field and really clear out the spot where he had to make that kick. And because it was so long, the delay, and if this didn't happen, he may not have had that perfect kick he had. But I put it as one of the greatest clutch kicks ever under the conditions. And it's just, I can't believe I'm talking about it now. I guess I'm over it now. I guess I've been cured. I can talk about it. So, anyways, that's all I have for today. I'm looking forward to November, although I don't like the fall weather. But this is going to be great. I'm going to start getting. By the way, my licensing fees just went up to $70. You better hop on it right now, Ronnie. Well, it's hot.
I appreciate it, champ.
Okay, buddy.
Man, I'll see you. Somehow, I just don't see Major League Baseball having a postseason in November. I can't see it.
If it happens, you might get your World Series during the day. If other sports are going on, they might bump World Series games to a day game on, like, let's say, if it's a Saturday World Series game.
You're onto something here because
would you rather compete with primetime football or daytime football?
I mean, here's the thing. If you have a postseason in November and college football is starting to wind down, the regular season is starting to wind down, do you put the games, the World Series or the playoff games in the daytime and have your college football games on prime time? Let's say the World Series starts the week of Michigan-Ohio State. Look, I mean, Michigan-Ohio State has always started at 12 noon.
Yeah, I don't think that will change. I
don't think that changes. But do you have a World Series game immediately after Michigan-Ohio State?
3:30 start, If it's on the West Coast, it's going to be a day game over there.
I must say, under that circumstance, I can live with it, even though I'm not a fan of baseball in November and early December. But if I can get a day World Series out of the deal, okay, we got to negotiate this. I think at the end of the day, they're gonna have the baseball season start and end. Start around the 4th of July, somewhere in that vicinity, end at the end of September. You have your October to remember, if I can steal a line from Tom Hamilton. And then we're done with the baseball. Wait until February to have everyone doing their spring training and go from there. I can't see Major League Baseball having their playoffs start in November. I just can't see that.
Yeah, and they could not do it and not do neutral sites. There's no way you're going to be playing in New York in middle of November.
No, I mean, again, even if the Indians were to have an unbelievable season, there's no way you put a game in Cleveland in mid or late November. That's absurd. You're not going to do that. That's crazy. And again, that all reaches up to another point. If you have a World Series in a neutral site, that's not going to work. I mean, you can do a Super Bowl at a neutral site because it's one game. If you're doing an entire World Series, minimum 4, maximum 7 at one location, and both fan bases are clamoring for those. No, it can't work.
If there are no fans, though, it'd be fine because there's no home field advantage anyway because your fans can't come to the game.
Yeah, but then who's going to watch the game? I mean, the people in that city?
Yeah, I mean, are you saying that you would, if there were no fans, you would watch a World Series that was being played at a home field, but you wouldn't watch it if it was playing in a neutral site?
Well, I mean, if there's no fans, there's no fans.
Right.
I mean, that part of it is out of
so
the
whole home field advantage argument's
yeah,
gone.
that argument is gone. Okay, I mean, if there's no fans and then you have it at a neutral site, okay, all well and good. It's still kind of weird that you have a World Series game at a neutral site because the owners are going to sit back and go, ooh, we could do the same the blueprint that the National Football League did with their Super Bowl. No, hell no. Don't do that, please.
It would fit 2020 because 2020 has just been weird. So
well, the first 5 months have been bizarre.
Let's get crazy.
I'm waiting for Godzilla to appear. Now it's June. It's Godzilla time. I mean, come on. Let's bring him out and bring Bigfoot out and Johnny No Face walking on Country Road in Leetonia. Bring him out too. I mean, we've seen it all. We might as well bring out the craziness.
Godzilla is supposed to be the Earth's way of restoring balance, so maybe we need Godzilla to.
Well, Bruce Lee, his documentary is going to be coming up next Sunday.
Yeah.
I think a Godzilla appearance prior to Bruce Lee's documentary would just be absolutely perfect. By the way, speaking of documentaries, ESPN, kudos to them for their 2-part series on Lance Armstrong. And oh my goodness, that boy has more issues than National Geographic. My God, I was watching the second part of that, and he sounded normal at times, and then at other times he was ranting about how guys were mistreated all because they cheated, and how he's now, none of these people in the industry treat me with any respect. Duh! You're a cheater! Of course you're not going to get treated with respect. You cheated the system. And the thing that bothers me the most is you sat back and argued the point and said, well, I'll sue anyone that does that. Okay, you played that up really well, and then when someone finally said, much like in a Texas Hold'em hand, when the person's reading the other person's face and saying, BS, you don't have anything, I'm going to re-raise you, you knew you got your cookie, you got your hand caught in the cookie jar elbow deep. You knew you were going to be toast. Yeah. And he still moans and groans about that. Dude, you're a cheater. You cheated your way to 7 straight Tour de France championships. Your championships mean nothing. Everything that you did, you cheated. I don't understand how anyone can sit back and say, well, Lance Armstrong is just not treated right. Get the heck out of here. I don't treat cheaters well. Nobody does in this country.
I'll play devil's advocate because we treat some people in the steroid era of baseball pretty well.
Until they got caught.
Well, even right now, I mean, we don't talk about Mark McGwire the same way we talk about Lance Armstrong. Like, we still hold up his records, and we still say, oh, man.
Well, he doesn't have any records now.
No, he doesn't. But we still kind of hold up, like, oh, man, that season with him and Sammy Sosa, that was great to watch. We still hold up Barry Bonds, even though it's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We kind of know that he was on something, even though it was never proven.
Well, it was never proven, but,
But we kind of know,
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out Barry Bonds was on something.
But now people are kind of starting to relax their grip on their steroid era hate, and especially the people that aren't baseball writers, quote unquote, that are keeping these guys out of the Hall of Fame. A lot of the people in the baseball world think it was a great era for baseball in general, just because of what it did for the sport. So, yeah, Lance Armstrong cheated, he did, but the same thing. A lot of people were cheating in the steroid era. A lot of people were using EPO when Lance Armstrong was using EPO.
Oh, no doubt.
And if everyone's using EPO and you still beat him 7 times, it's still a little bit impressive. Because if everyone's doing it and you're still that much better.
Yeah, but you're assuming everyone's doing it.
Okay, if a good majority of people are doing it.
Look, it's that whole industry was dope infested. Yes. I mean, let's be honest. That whole sector of that sport was dope related back in the day. I mean, Greg LeMond was probably one of very few people that weren't guilty of doping. So, but by the same token,
you almost had to be consistently great in that, because the EPO just makes you really endurant.
Sure,
and the Tour de France is just rigorous.
Oh, it was horribly rigorous.
To win it 3 or 4, 7 times in a row, there's no way to do it without doping your blood.
Exactly, and it's just. Look, it's unfair to sit back and go, well, everyone's doing it. Well, there were some people that were very clean that were doing it, and unfortunately, they weren't given their due because they didn't do steroids. Yep. Much like in the steroid era of baseball, look, there were guys that were clean. Ken Griffey Jr., Jim Thome, guys that hit over 600 home runs in a career. These guys were clean.
And the other thing is, the guys that were clean had to they were attacked as if they weren't.
Exactly.
Because the whole era of baseball was, you have to be on steroids if you're good.
Mike Piazza was kicked out or not kicked out, but he was not put into the Hall of Fame because there were people that had suspicions. Mike Piazza was never part of this. He didn't test positive for any kind of steroids, and his body never changed. I mean, look, it was a witch hunt, and unfortunately, it brought out some of the worst and still is bringing out some of the worst in the baseball writers. And I've said this for years. Look, people don't understand, first of all, what the steroids were all about. It was not about, I'm going to take steroids so I can hit more home runs. That wasn't what that was about. You took steroids so you were healthy enough to play 155, 160 games a year so you could be productive. That was the reason why people took steroids. They didn't take steroids just to sit back and go, "Oh, I'm gonna break all these records." No, you took steroids so if you got hurt, if you had the aches and pains of a normal baseball season, because it's a rigorous 162 games, it's by far the most games of any sport. You're taking steroids, if you are, to keep yourself out of the trainer's room and to make sure that you're not on the disabled list.
Let's also be honest. Some people were taking steroids because the trainers were putting them down their throat and saying, you need to do this.
Well, yeah, that's the other nasty truth that not many people are talking about.
I mean, there were a lot of trainers that probably shoveled steroids out in these people's bodies, and some of them probably without their even knowledge that they were taking steroids.
But the one thing that bothers me is when you hear the old school writers that sit back and go, well, I'm never going to vote for Bonds or Clemens or whoever. Wait a second. You voted in guys that took amphetamines to make sure that they were illegally wired up after night games. If they were playing day games, second game of a doubleheader, they're passing out greenies like it was freaking Halloween. I mean, look, wrong is wrong. I'm not saying that, that it was worse than steroids, but it had just the same effect in terms of you gave someone an unfair advantage. That's what steroids were about, or that's what greenies were about. That's what throwing a spitball was about,
right?
Or doctoring a baseball. You get an edge, whether it's cheating or stretching the rules. I mean, that's baseball of all sports. You're encouraged to cheat in the game of baseball. I hate to say it, but it's true.
And I think it's really unfortunate that Lance Armstrong made the decisions he made, because without that, he made a lot of positive impacts on the world with the stuff that he did after he came back from cancer, the money he raised for the people that were going through it. He made a lot of positive things happen for people. Unfortunately, he also made a lot of bonehead decisions that kind of really hurt his legacy.
Oh, no question. And again, it's
sad because his legacy should be the fact that he did all that stuff for the people with cancer.
Yeah, and
it's not, because
it isn't because he
probably may have given himself cancer, to be honest, with the EPO the first time.
Well, I don't know if that was before his cancer.
And then he came back and did it again after he got cancer, but once you have that high, you're going to do it. But.
Well, look, I mean, the interview that he had, I mean, there were times where you're like, okay, kind of sort of makes sense. And then there was times where he was off the reservation, stupid crazy. I'm just like, dude, really? I mean, oh my God.
It's good TV.
Well, it made for a fascinating interview, that's for sure. I can't wait. This coming Sunday, I believe, is the Bruce Lee documentary, which here's a guy that changed the world of martial arts. Oh my goodness, was this guy talented. And then a week after Bruce Lee's documentary, we're going to have the two-part documentary on the summer of 1998 and the battle between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, and how that was part of the rebirth and rejuvenation of Major League Baseball. And look, I was in my first year of doing independent ball at the time. I was in Lubbock, Texas, closing out the 1998 season. I was closing out that season, and I was driving back home in mid-September because I stuck around for a couple of weeks, and I was driving home in mid-September, and McGuire's with the Cardinals, so KMOX is heard practically everywhere in my drive home, and Sosa with the Cubs, WGN, which was their flagship affiliate on the radio, they're heard pretty much everywhere. So, on my drive home, hell, I'm driving through Missouri, Illinois, and I'm listening to both stations. It was phenomenal listening to Mike Shannon and Jack Buck talk about McGwire and getting his home runs, and then listening to Pat Hughes, who I consider to be one of the best the broadcasters in today's game, talk about Sosa and hitting his bombs. Man, it was cool. It was a great time, and I got caught up in it. I mean, yeah, I knew it was BS, but I got caught up in it.
And what were the odds that they would be both playing in the same division too?
Yeah, crazy.
So, right?
Absolutely crazy. But, again, I knew it was BS from the get-go. I mean, I was, okay, both of these guys are in past Roger Maris's record. Come on, seriously? This is garbage, and everyone knows it's garbage. But, it is what it is.
Yeah, there are some things that are fake that we love anyway. I mean, we all... the entertainment value doesn't go down just because it's fake.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I believe it was the 96 All-Star game. McGwire was doing some of that stuff prior to 98, and people were asking about it during the 96 All-Star game. So I remember that everyone was talking about that, and they wouldn't let it go. And the A's were a few games out of first place at the All-Star break. And I wanted to just divert away from the bombardment of questions regarding his nutrition and all that other stuff. So I asked McGuire, hey, second half, you guys are within shouting distance in the AL West. Talk a little bit about what's been going on the first half of the season and what you guys want to do the second half of the season. And he looks at me and he goes, thank you, appreciate it. And I'm like, no problem. That's what I'm here for. But, I mean, obviously, there were a lot of people that kind of knew what was going on, but they didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those things when someone is doing that, you kind of can look at them and be like, one of these things is not like the other, kind of the sesame.
Yeah, picture of Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle, and here's this Stay Puft Marshmallow guy on steroids hitting everything out of the ballpark. One of these things is not like the other. Oh, yeah, okay.
What I mean, Mike McGuire, he looked like he swung at like 60% effort when he hit home runs.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't swinging hard.
Yeah.
He was going like 60% and knocking it well past the field, well past the fence. So it's fun to watch.
He was a big boy, no doubt, no two ways about that. He was a big boy, and he and Canseco, whenever the Oakland Athletics played in the late 80s and early 90s, the one thing you never wanted to do was get into a bench-clearing brawl with the Oakland A's, because those two guys, whoo, big boys, that's all I can say. Plus, you had Ricky Henderson. He was a pretty tough customer, too. Speaking of tough customers, I don't know if anyone saw this. Kudos to J.R. Smith. During the protests yesterday, somebody decided that they wanted to break some of the windows out of J.R. Smith's truck. And J.R. Smith reminded everyone how badass J.R. Smith can be. He put an absolute ass whipping on this guy and sent him along his merry way, and then had had someone interview him so he could basically say, "Dude was messing up my truck. Hey, I gave him an ass whipping." Hey, typical JR. My first thought was, the guy should be thankful that there wasn't any hot soup around. Otherwise, JR would have thrown it at him.
And a year ago, J.R. Smith was being talked about for very opposite reasons, because obviously he got that rebound and then ran away from the basket when they needed a bucket. So a year ago today, he was, well, a year ago yesterday.
A year ago yesterday was when he did that, yeah. Oh,
and everyone was like, oh, if May 31st, is that always going to be J.R. Smith Day? And then a year later, he's beating someone up that messed up his truck.
J.R. Smith Day, absolutely. Look, I remember watching that game, and it was in Oakland, and they had Golden State beat. Game 1 of the 2018 NBA Finals. They had Golden State beat that night, and for whatever reason, JR just he drew a blank, and it was just that was that. That was their one opportunity, and you always have that thought. What would have happened had the Cavaliers won that game? Would the series have changed? Golden State probably still wins that series, but you never know.
I think it would have been a more competitive series.
You would have had Golden State on their heels.
Yeah.
And I think that it would have been an interesting series. I agree with you. I don't know if Cleveland would have won the series, but I think it would have been an interesting series nonetheless.
I just love LeBron's reaction when you saw him on the sidelines.
Oh, yeah.
You could hear him. You could see him lip. Did we have a timeout? And his coach went, yes. And
yeah, and he's just where he's losing his mind with JR. Oh, yeah, it was just, oh, God, unbelievable. But I can't trash him too much because 2 years earlier, J.R. Smith was responsible for the Cavaliers getting back into Game 7 in Oakland.
He's one of those guys, he can hit really, really tough three-pointers.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes he misses wide-open three-pointers like it's his job. But the ones that are contested with a hand in his face, fadeaway jumper, he can knock those down like it's his job, too.
Yeah, he was a streak shooter without any question. But, I thought it was interesting yesterday. JR decided to give a guy a butt kicking because this guy messed his truck up. So that is what it is.
You don't mess with a man's truck.
No, you don't mess with a man's truck, especially J.R. Smith. That's all there is to it. All right, 330-886-0813. It's a Monday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. We'll take a time out on the other side. More of your phone calls. 330-886-0813. Back in a bit.
They say American craftsmanship is making a comeback. Of course, at Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, it never went away.
People are floored by Baird Brothers' authentic hardwood floors. They stare at our stairs and adore our doors. Baird Brothers reflects 3 generations of family craftsmanship. Visit our huge in-stock selection in person or at BairdBrothers.com.
Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is here, so it's all hands on deck to make sure your plan still meets your needs for 2020.
Call us today.
It's a Monday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Ron with you. So is Anthony. 330-886-0813. That is the number to call. We talked about the possibility of Major League Baseball getting their stuff together, and many thanks to Mark Munch Bishop, who joined the show about 12:15 to talk a little bit about that. Dana Balish also talking about it earlier in the hour at about 1 o'clock, as we catch up with Dana every Monday at 1 o'clock during our Monday edition of Running Point. We've been talking a variety of different stuff. Obviously, the $1 million question is going to be whether or not Major League Baseball actually gets it together or not, and obviously if the players and the owners don't take this opportunity to get baseball back, I think this will be a disaster for Major League Baseball. But we'll see. I mean, you got you got 9 days to actually you got 6 days to figure it out, and hopefully you can get someone in camp by June the 10th, and hopefully let's play some ball.
Well, now the ball is in the owner's court, and they better have a really, really good counteroffer, or else I don't think we can sit and wait for the players to come out with another counteroffer. I don't think that'll fly. So I think if either the owners don't accept this one, which they probably won't, or the players don't accept the next offer by the owners, then you can just kind of put the nail in the coffin on this season.
Yeah, look, I mean, you got 6 days if you want to have a June 10th training camp. So the owners probably need to shoot this plan down. If they're going to shoot it down today. Use the parameters of what these guys have said. Look, I mean, I think we can all be in agreement that if a player has high risk, he should get his service time. I don't know if he should get his pay. Maybe you give him his pay because he is high risk, or maybe a family member is high risk. Now, having said that, this brings up another part of the puzzle. Okay, define high risk. Is he high risk? Is wife, kids high risk? Is the guy's parents high risk? I mean, look, if he's not living with his parents, that's not going to fly. That's not going to fly. That dog's not going to hunt. You know, if you're living by yourself, then all that other stuff is irrelevant. And look, I mean, you're either in or you're not in. Now, if your wife or your kids, you have some health problems, and that's because, you know, that makes you a high risk, okay, I understand that.
My second cousin is high risk. Well, you know, it's this, you know, stuff like that. But when you go through it, and like we said, I hope the owners were smart enough in the last couple of weeks to kind of be ready for a counteroffer, because they had to know that the players weren't going to accept their first offer.
No, of course not.
So hopefully they spent the last 2 or 3 weeks making their own counteroffer for what the players were going to bring back, because I'm pretty sure collectively they knew that they probably weren't going to like the players' first counteroffer too. So they should have been prepared, and hopefully they were, and hopefully they can have a ironed out counteroffer in the next 3 or 4 days.
Okay, so if we go with 100 games, that pretty much means that you'll be going 15 games against your division, which would equal 60, and 8 games against your opposite division.
2 4-game series, home and away.
Yeah, home and away. That's 40. So 60 and 40, 100. That's how you would ultimately play that if you want to go 100 games. Now, again, if you go to 100 games and say 100 is the magic number, not 114, not 82, we're going to meet in the middle at 100. Okay. If we get 100 games, now the main thing is going to be, all right, if we're going to have 100 games and we're going to have some doubleheaders, does the owners sit back and go, okay, these doubleheaders that are going to be played, that, you know, you're going to have 18 doubleheaders to make up 36 games
at the best. I mean,
yeah,
you also have to consider weather delays and the natural doubleheaders.
Exactly. And I think that has to be part of this that no one talks about is Mother Nature, whether or not we're going to have a cold summer, a wet summer. If we have bad weather, then obviously these games are going to have to be made up. I mean, it's just going to be crazy. At the end of the day, if you have 100 games, it comes down to, all right, you're not going to get paid for 100 games. I think the players should be paid for 100 games, but the owners are going to probably say, no, we're not going to do that. And if they're not willing to relent, someone has to just say, look, all right, give us 90 games. And if the owners sit back and go, no, we'll give you 82. No, you meet somewhere between 100 and 82. 90 is obviously the solution, and go from there. And even if it's 10 doubleheaders, and in the 10 doubleheaders, you're not going to get paid for one of those 2 games. Okay, look, again, if I was a player, I would want to be paid every single game. But I also understand that if I don't have Major League Baseball this year, I'm not getting paid any money. And you have to take a look at what is on the horizon right now. Your game is not necessarily on great ground to begin with. If you whiff on this opportunity, pun included, if you whiff on this opportunity, boy, you've pissed off an awful lot of fans.
And these are all rational discussions, and quite frankly, the way that the players have the heads in this debate right now don't seem very rational. So I hope that they can get rational and make that rational discussion that we just had, because if you look at this rationally, you got to think, okay, I'm either going to get paid 90 games or I'm not going to get paid at all, and my sport is going to hurt a lot. And the problem is, can you take your green colored glasses off to see that and not want the money that you think that you deserve and stand on and die on that hill? Because if you don't have baseball, you're going to die on that hill.
No question. And again, if you don't get baseball played this year, with everything that is going on in society today with the climate that we have right now, with all the stuff going on in major cities, with COVID-19 that nobody's talking about because of what is going on the last 4 or 5 days throughout the entire country. But COVID-19 is still running around and will rear its ugly head at some point in time. With everything that is going on, if you don't follow your ancestors and your predators or your predecessors of the game of baseball, where they've always stepped up and been the sport that everyone looks to in times of need and tragedy and whatnot. If you drop the ball here, Major League Baseball will take a hit that I don't think you're gonna be able to get up from at this point.
It'll make it harder. They'll be on the mat for sure. And they took about 12 years to come back from the strike in '94. It might take longer to come back if they drop the ball here.
Yeah, I cannot stress this enough that the owners and the players need to come up with an agreement really, really quick here, because everyone wants to watch Major League Baseball this year. This of all years, especially the way this calendar year has gone, where everything that could go wrong has gone wrong in 2020, it would be nice to have the comforting blanket of Major League Baseball.
Someone needs to stop saying, "How could 2020 get worse?" out loud, because you keep saying it.
Again, I still think Godzilla or Bigfoot's going to come out of nowhere, and then here we go. What does June bring? Because Lord knows we've had enough for the entire year and then some. Craziness.
What's the next plague?
Yeah, no doubt. All right, 330-886-0813. That is the number to call. Last week we had Ryan Wolf on, the head baseball coach at Columbiana. And again, the baseball league that they have, if you're in a school that is not going to be taking part in that league and you want to be able to play in this league, you need to email Ryan. That's ryan.wolf, ryan.wolf at columbianaschools.org. That's columbianaschools.org. They'll put you on a team. And again, if you're 15 to 18 years of age and you want to take part in playing baseball this summer, you can certainly join that league, and I think it's going to be an awful lot of fun. We look forward to covering that league along with Class B baseball, which starts 2 weeks from yesterday.
And what the great thing about that league is it gives the kids an opportunity to play for their high school, which, like we said, I mean, it's just, there's something special about putting on your school's colors, putting on your school's jersey, and being able to represent it. And a lot of these kids have been stripped of a season of that. Well, they've all been stripped of a season of that. And to be able to do it this summer, it's the ultimate sense of normalcy.
No question. And again, obviously, a lot of things that are going to be changed with the social distancing. You got to be able to respect the social distancing, and we talked a little bit about the softball tournament that went on this past weekend. Dana Ballas getting phone calls saying that social distancing wasn't adhered to per se. I'll be real curious in a couple of weeks when B League starts how they're going to be able to handle that.
Yeah, B League might have a little bit of an easier time than the softball tournament did, because you're in one spot, and the baseball dugouts are set up where you can spread people out. You can use the bullpen, and you have complete control because you're in one spot. You're in Bob Sean Park, so you have 3 fields. You're in one spot. But the softball tournament was in 4 different venues throughout the area. One was in Liberty, one was in Warren, one was in Hubbard. So it's hard to kind of mandate and control all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So Class B might have a little bit of an easier job to make sure these teams are completely adhering to every guideline, because they'll be right there. They'll be able to see them. They might have a representative from Bob Sean Park at every park, making sure that the teams are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, and again, obviously we want baseball back and Sandlot baseball to be played 2 weeks from yesterday. From a selfish standpoint, I look forward to it because I get to call doubleheaders on Tuesday and Thursday at Scene Park, which I look forward to anytime I'm calling a baseball game. So that is going to be a sense of normalcy, which I think I can speak for everyone that we need normalcy. Given the fact that we've gone through 5 months of absolute craziness.
I'll tell you, being at the field, it just, you almost forgot that we were in the pandemic because everything was almost the same. I mean, the game was played the same way. People were cheering when something good happened for the team they were there for. They were sitting in they were sitting in the outfield or wherever with their little lawn chairs like you would on a softball game. Everything kind of went off without a hitch, and you kind of had 3 or 4 hours where you could just forget that the state of the world that we were in. That's what we really need.
Well, and that's one of the big things that sports does. Mm-hmm. I was 4 years old when the race riots of 1968 were pretty much front and center in every major metropolitan city. 68 was a god-awful year for this country. The middle of the Vietnam War, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in April of that year. Bobby Kennedy was assassinated, I want to say in June of that year. And there was just all kinds of horrendous things happening nationwide between the Vietnam protests, the civil rights movement.
And you still had the ongoing fear of communism and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
It was right in the middle of the Cold War.
Yeah, it's just 1968 was a god-awful year in this country, and yet in Detroit, Michigan, and Champ could probably speak of this, but he's already called in today, but in 1968 in Detroit, Michigan, there was all kinds of craziness going on, but amongst that craziness, everyone fell in love with the 1968 Detroit Tigers. And for 2-3 hours a night or a day, if they played day ball, everyone put their swords down and you watched baseball. And we're not anywhere close to being as ugly as 1968 was, but we have some ugly stuff going on right now, and I just wish that Major League Baseball was being played right now, because I know the power of Major League Baseball and the power of sports in general is something that is incredible. You talk about getting yourself away from the craziness of life for 2 or 3 hours and watch a baseball game. In the days and weeks after 9/11, I've told this story many times when I was in Youngstown doing the show on the Sports Animal. I didn't watch 9/11. I wasn't near a television set. I was on a bus, and we were headed to Montclair State University, which is 5 miles from New York City in New Jersey. We were headed to Yogi Berra Stadium to open up a 5-game series with the New Jersey Jackals. Ironically enough, Kevin Burkhardt was the voice of the New Jersey Jackals at the time. We're on our way to New Jersey when everything went bananas, and we wound up staying in Binghamton for that day. I was near the bus. I didn't want to venture out. Never saw footage of it. But when we came back home, obviously we knew we weren't going to be playing baseball anytime soon, but we were going to start and finish that series. And I think 10 days later, we started the series. And we went to the suburbs of New York City on the Jersey side, and everyone was glued listening to that game because, you know what, we don't want to deal with craziness. For 2 or 3 hours, we want our sanity, so we're going to tune into a baseball game. Whether it's a major league game, a minor league game, doesn't matter. We need to step away from reality to just keep our minds on something else. That's why sports is so important, and I wish Major League Baseball was being played right now because we need it. We need it so bad in this country right now.
That's why, I mean, this pandemic was so different than anything we've seen because sports were something that we couldn't do. You couldn't gather at a sporting event because of it. So it's a little bit different, and the ramifications of that are being seen full frontal here in this spring into summer. So,
yeah.
So you need sports to come back, and I think a lot of people kind of are seeing the importance of it, and that's why all the sport leagues are close. Even the MLB, it's close. You gotta figure out one thing. You have to figure out money.
Well, that's a big thing,
it's a big
unfortunately.
Thing, but everything else kind of figured out. So NHL probably going to be back in the end of July. Basketball probably going to be back at the same kind of time, and they've kind of figured everything out with that. And sports needs to come back.
No question. And this is why Major League Baseball, you have an opportunity if you can start your season. And again, the irony is not lost on me. If Major League Baseball can start its season on the 4th of July, oh dear God, would that be a great day. Not just the fact that it's the birth of our country, but there is nothing, with all due respect to hockey, basketball, and football, Major League Baseball, baseball in general, is America's pastime. It is America. And if Major League Baseball could somehow, some way, get it together where they start their season up on July the 4th, I think it would be phenomenal, especially considering the fact that most places are already canceling out their 4th of July fireworks and whatnot. So I think it would be phenomenal if Major League Baseball started on the 4th of July, and it's up to Major League Baseball to get off their ass and start, forget about the money factor. You guys have no idea how huge you would look in everyone's eyes if you just put your swords down, come up with an agreement where people are gonna be willing to compromise and just get this thing done.
But I think the money has made people, made the MLB people tone deaf to what's going on in the world and to what they could mean to it if they came back. Everything I hear from the people is just like you're completely tone deaf of what's going on.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing, and again with the pandemic, 41 million Americans are looking for work. I mean, the unemployment figures are astronomical. You can't seriously have that argument of, well, I'm not really getting paid as much as I should. Are you kidding me? You can't say that in today's climate. Are you that tone deaf?
Right.
Where you're going to sit back and say, well, I'm not getting mine. There's 41 million people that aren't getting theirs. Shut up already. I mean, you're so damn tone deaf. It's driving me nuts.
And if you are going to say it, you better not be mad that people kind of hit you back with it. Because
absolutely,
you can't say stuff like that and then get on Twitter and argue with people that are coming at you for it.
Absolutely. Look, I mean, look, if it were up to me, if as a player, yes, I would want my money. But good Lord, you got to realize there are a lot of people that are not working right now. You have to be able to understand that. All right, let's get to the phone lines. Rich, how's it going, brother?
Good afternoon, Ron.
What's up, brother?
Beautiful day it is, my friend.
Man, I cannot wait to get out of here and do a 3-mile walk at Mill Creek today.
Awesome. My gal had hung in her basement two 30 or 40-year-old Huffy and Western Auto 26-inch 3-speeds with the balloon tires and the big seats.
Oh, nice.
Oh, real nice. So I refurbished one. Now I'm working on the other. Boy, is that a nice ride. I got to tell you, brother.
Okay, now I got to ask, are you going to put the banana seat on one of them?
No. My butt's too big. Man, never mind. I'm not going to say what I really want to, but my butt's way too big for a banana seat. Hey, just a thought on pro sports and Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
You know, Ron, I'm 67. I've been a fan since I was probably 8 years old, which puts me, I've been really following baseball for 59 years. And what I'm seeing is horrendous on both sides. In fact, on three sides: the players, the players' union, and the owners. And you know what? I hate to say this, and I've been trying to fight this off for the last several years, and that is I'm becoming indifferent to Major League Baseball.
Well, and you and about a ton of other people, and you know, we talked about this. Look, I would, if I were a major league player, I would want to get paid on a per game basis. Nobody's sitting here and saying I want my entire year's salary. They're not being that ignorant. Would I want to get paid per game? Absolutely, I would. But I also understand, and Major League Baseball, the players have to understand this. There are 41 million people in this country that are looking for a job. If you're going to have the audacity to moan, groan, bitch, and complain about you not getting paid, it is not going to go over very well. It's going to go over like a fart in church to the 41 million people that are trying to find a job right now.
I got news for you. You know, through all this pandemic and disaster we've been experiencing, my gal works the drive-thru at McDonald's. Her hours have been cut, but she's been placed at the drive-thru window. She has more importance through this pandemic than all these guys combined, and they can't even appreciate that.
I agree with that. Listen, I go to McDonald's every day to get my coffee, so I wholeheartedly agree with what you just said.
You know, they're wearing gloves. They're doing everything right. They're trying to take care of customers the best they can, and these guys have the nerve to pull this crap on us. Honest to God, Ron, they didn't come to realize that through all this craziness we've gone through, that their importance is not that important. Their presence really doesn't matter, and they haven't digested that yet.
Well, look, I mean, in today's climate, I really would like an opportunity for these guys to be playing, because I would need a 2 or 3 hour break from the insanity that we've had the last few months.
I understand that. And, you know, during the war and everything, we had guys playing here, keeping the people entertained.
Sure.
Trying to keep your mind off of what everybody was going through.
Sure.
We still have a war overseas. We're still there. And we're in many countries. There's a lot of things going on that our press doesn't cover because all we hear is COVID-19. And these guys just don't seem to put things in perspective. I'm really dismayed, Ron.
Yeah.
I'm really. What's the deal on local sports? Are we going to have youth sports or Class B, or what's going on?
Yeah, B League starts 2 weeks from yesterday, so we'll have that. There is a separate league that's starting for those that weren't able to join B League or take part in other leagues that have been canceled this year. A separate league has started, so yeah, no, we'll have our fill of Sandlot baseball this year and softball as well.
Well, maybe we could meet at Peregrine Park and take in a couple of games. What do you think?
Hey, there you go. And let's not forget the Crocodiles, the Bob Mingo's team. The 19 to 22-year-olds will be playing baseball too. So there you go.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Keep me informed. We'll go do a couple.
Hey, there you go, brother.
Thanks, brother.
Man, see it. All right, 330-886-0813. I think people understand that it is still pretty important for Major League Baseball to do their thing, but you know, Rich is right about something. Look, if these guys drop the ball because of this, you know, there's more than a number of people that are already pissed off at baseball. They drop the ball and not play. There are going to be a lot of people that are going to just say, "Okay, yeah, we're done with you guys. We'll watch basketball, hockey." Because they're going to be starting up at the end of July. We'll gladly watch them because they're not moaning and groaning about player salaries or anything like that. They've got their stuff together, so we'll gladly watch that.
And I think baseball has this kind of arrogance that they're just going to come back from this because it's baseball, and I think they're going to learn really quick that it's maybe not the case.
No, don't even go down that road because, you know, again, I've said Major League Baseball is not on firm ground as it is. The average age is far and away older, much older than the average football fan, the average basketball fan, and the average hockey fan. You know, Major League Baseball's average age is 57. That's and look, I'm going to be 56 in August. I'm considered to be below average, and I'm old. And I am reminded how old I am when DJ tells me I'm old. So, you know, I'm on the, what did he say last
You're on
week?
the back nine.
I'm on the back nine, exactly. So the average Major League Baseball fan is already on the back nine in life, doing their stuff. So that's not good. That is most definitely not good. If you're someone who thinks that Major League Baseball is somehow, some way going to be able to attract enough young people to lower that age, yeah, good luck with that. Especially if these guys can't even get together money wise.
Yeah, and it's funny because the average baseball fan is, like you said, like 57. But I think that number goes down when you say the average fan that actually like goes to a game. Because if the experiences I've had at a ballpark, you see a lot more young kids, young guys just go to a game just for the experience. Well, now you're not going to games anymore. So the fans that you need to bring, you're only getting them going to the games. Now they have to sit and watch it on TV. Yeah.
Tone deaf. Horribly, horribly tone deaf. And it's just the leadership of the National Hockey League and the NBA is shown. I mean, look, they're getting their stuff done. Nobody's talking crap through the media. Everyone is getting along, and both of the professional sports leagues look to be well on their way to restarting their season or go straight into the postseason. And here's Major League Baseball. Oh, they're just schlepping along because Rob Manfred doesn't want to say anything good about the sport, and he's the damn commissioner. And the owners are talking crap about the players through the press, and the players are talking crap about the owners through the press. I mean, a responsible commissioner would have sat back and said, "Hey, we're not doing this. You guys are not going to be talking crap to each other through the media. We're going to have a news blackout, and we're just going to keep this amongst ourselves. And when we're ready to go, we'll let the media know that we've come to an agreement."
It's funny because like the major sports are getting in the car. They're all ready. The NBA is ready. The NHL is ready. In the MLB, it's like that the little brother that's throwing a tantrum and won't get in the car, so you can't start your road trip yet.
Yeah, or people that haven't packed their suitcase
right?
yet.
They're still in the house. Come
Craziness.
on, guys, let's go.
Oh my God, absolute absurdity. All right, 330-886-0813. That is the number to call. We have a lot of stuff that we want to talk about. We talked a little bit about the ESPN documentary on Lance Armstrong. And again, I was amazed at the stupidity is not the right word because it's Lance Armstrong is not stupid. I was amazed at the
egomaniacal,
the psychotic narcissist action of Lance Armstrong. He would say things that would be somewhat normal, and then he would turn around and say something that is so far off the reservation, you just kind of look and go, what? Where is this coming from? Why are you saying something this absurd? Lance Armstrong is a narcissist beyond belief. And he will flat out tell everyone he's relevant. Well, okay, you're relevant because you cheated, and people are still mad at you because you cheated. Wow, and he won't get over the fact that people that basically turned him in, he hasn't forgiven them yet. I'm like, dude. You ultimately confessed on Oprah Winfrey's show, of all places. You ultimately confessed on Oprah Winfrey's show, yet you're still pissed that people turned you in. Oh, my gosh. it was a train wreck, and you had to stay glued to the TV to watch the train
It was
wreck.
good TV because characters like that make good TV.
And okay, we've talked about how sports is a diversion away from real life. I'll be honest. All weekend, I was watching CNN and watching the just tragic developments from across the country with people looting and all kinds of other stuff, which I think was absurd. And you're not getting the message, but neither here nor there. We don't want to get into that. But Sunday, I wasn't watching that. I was watching for 2 hours. I was watching this documentary on Lance Armstrong. And I felt like I was watching a train wreck in slow motion, but I wouldn't change the channel because, okay, this is getting me away from the horrible stuff that's been going on in our country the last 5-6 days. But my God, this is horrible in and of its own right. The way this guy is thinking is delusional.
Yeah, and I only saw snippets of yesterday, but it was like, almost like you wouldn't even expect a character on television to be talking like this. Like, he had to make this stuff up. That's what you're thinking. Like, there's no way a rational human being can think this way.
Absolutely incredible. And I'll tell you what, I'm not a fan of ESPN by and large.
Well, what they do right is the documentaries and the features that they do on SportsCenter.
Yes,
bar none.
30 for 30 and the documentaries that they do are solid. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, really solid. I'll tell you another company, and you can sit back and say, oh, it's fake. WWE's documentaries have been nothing short of brilliant. The way they do one. I've been watching the Undertaker, and their 4-part documentary on the fact that the Undertaker's, to steal a phrase, on the back end, on the back nine of his career. He's very close to calling it a career. He's in his 50s, and he was looking for that perfect match to suddenly sit back, hang up the wrestling boots, and say, I'm done. We might have seen that this WrestleMania when he wrestled AJ Styles, because I thought that Boneyard match was absolutely incredible. And they haven't gotten to that point yet, but the documentary on The Undertaker has been nothing short of incredible. That has been a phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal documentary by WWE.
And I wouldn't expect WWE to have trouble making these documentaries because they're in the entertainment business. So they should be able to go out and produce these really good documentaries. And as you said, it should be right in their wheelhouse, and it is.
Oh, it absolutely is. They've had some really good documentaries through the years. Look, I'll say it and unabashedly say this. I signed up for WWE Network. You know, you pay your $10 a month and you get your content and whatnot. Look, I'm a wrestling fan, a professional wrestling fan. I've been one for most of my life. I remember watching it as a kid, watching Bruno Sammartino and Dominic DeNucci and a couple of other wrestlers from the old WWF.
Well, what makes WWE successful, old WWF, the storylines.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing. So if you're that good at making these storylines, then you better be good at making documentaries.
Yeah, no doubt.
Tell those storylines. So, like I said, it's right in their wheelhouse, and they're hitting home runs.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next part of this documentary on the Undertaker. Fantastic television on the WWE Network. Just fantastic stuff. All right, 330-886-0813. We'll take a timeout. It is a Monday edition of Running Points. Ron Potesta with you, Anthony Hardwig with you as well. Taking your phone calls right up to 3 o'clock. Back in a bit on ysnlive.com.
Hey, my Ohio friends, it's Mike Ditka, and I know great talent and heart when I see it. I can tell you from firsthand experience, there are average real estate agents, then there are true champions. Kelly Warren is one of those champions, and you have her right there in your own backyard. Kelly outmarkets and outsells every agent in the Mahoning Valley. If Kelly can't sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, Kelly will buy it. Get your home sold. Call Kelly Warren today at 717-2689 or go online to kellysoda.com and start packing.
You can feel it. Baird Brothers' traditional craftsmanship. You can see it. Baird Brothers' timeless style. And you can afford it. And find everything at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is real hardwood, yet beautifully affordable. Floors, moldings, interior doors, bar rails, and stair parts. All within your means and without a care. Start at BairdBrothers.com. You have made it. Your home.
Teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
It's a Monday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Ardwig and the boss, not Bruce Springsteen, although he probably sings about as good as Springsteen does.
Baby, I was born to run.
Yeah, there you go. Wait, you say it better than Springsteen.
Baby, I was born to run.
Yeah,
is that a good one?
Because he would be like, I'm like, dude.
Fallon does a fantastic
yeah.
impression.
Yeah, he does a good Trump impersonation too.
Well, to each their own, I guess.
You proved that you were born to run last week.
Oh my goodness.
You still feeling the effects of that?
Not as bad as Quinn. Quinn limped in here today, so he went golfing on Saturday. He said he had a rough go at it. So,
hey, speaking of, I went golfing on this past Tuesday. By Friday, I could move without any pain. I don't understand that. I was riding in a cart. Is it because I'm moving my body around and
well, didn't you play?
I played, yeah.
Well, I mean, there's so much movement in a swing that people don't realize.
Yeah.
Like your hips, your core, your arms, your shoulders. See, my shoulder gets messed up whenever I swing a golf club because I try to stabilize it and it's bad.
My hips were toast.
Yeah.
I was just like stiff as a board. And I'm looking around going, I can't do 3 miles. I'll do maybe 2, if that.
They always say that your legs are the first to go, but the most important part of your body is your core because there's so much that can go wrong. And if that goes wrong, then everything else is just flubbed up. So,
hence the reason why you need to lose what I have. So yeah.
Well, you're protecting it. You've got layers of protection around your core.
Yeah,
so
I get a pony keg ab. Forget about the 6-pack stuff. I don't deal in 6-pack. Give me the pony keg.
I'll tell you what. So I've been doing the same workout, and this is probably way against what you're supposed to do. I've been doing the same workout since 2010. So 10 years essentially doing the same workout, the same routine, pretty good results. And then my wife discovered if you go on YouTube, you can get these workouts. Like you don't need any weights, you don't need anything. They're just like high intensity training workouts. So I tried that. That was on Thursday, the day before the race. And I woke up on Friday and I thought I was done. Like I couldn't move. And it was only a 20-minute workout and it wasn't anything strenuous. It was like 60 seconds of jumping jacks, 60 seconds of planking. I'm trying to think. They had arm circles in there, which you didn't think was bad, but when you do arm circles for 60 seconds, it starts to burn a little bit.
Now I need to know what a plank is.
Plank is when you're on the ground, but you put your arms on the ground, and you're almost like just sitting.
So you're like
these are on the ground.
Okay.
Your arms,
okay. So the forearms are on the ground.
Yeah, forearms. Thank you.
And you're doing like a push up without going down.
Yeah, but you're supposed to. The best planks they say is almost put your belly button which is facing the floor. Make it so if there was a straight line through it, it's to the ceiling. So you don't
Gotcha.
want to be down, hunching. You want to be as straight
you
as you
want
can
to be straight. Yeah.
And you want to talk about a core exercise? It is unreal. So if you can do it for 20 seconds, then off for 20 seconds, then on for 20 seconds, you do it 5 times or so, you're going to be feeling it. You're going to be and this guy wanted me to do 60 seconds of planks, which I take pride that I have a pretty strong core, but man alive, 60 seconds of planking is serious. I mean,
I don't think I can do 10.
I think you could do 10. We'll do it after the show. We'll see if you can do 10.
Can we get a camera to see if I can do 10?
Right now?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll get this camera.
Yeah,
All right.
why not?
Come on over here.
Let's see if we can do this. Live radio or live video stuff here. Hang on a second. I don't see how I can do
You want to do
this.
that one? Leave this fun around here.
All right.
All right, go ahead. Lonnie.
So how am I? So I'm like this.
Yep. And then there you go, like that.
Yeah, this is not comfortable.
No. See how long you can go.
This is not comfortable. Oh,
You're
Lordy.
at 10.
Oh, man, is this not comfortable?
He's shaking. He's shaking.
Jesus!
He's shaking.
This is not comfortable!
Look at the shake. Look at the shake.
Ah!
You got
That
it.
is not comfortable!
That's not bad.
What did I do, 20?
I'd say probably in the range of 20.
Ah!
I gotta check the screen, make sure Anthony's in there.
That is seriously not comfortable!
I'm impressed you did a plank. Now he's out of breath.
No, not really. I wanted to do the Academy Award performance there.
Well
No,
done.
that is seriously uncomfortable.
It's one of the best ways to get that, and I don't know if you've ever seen. I don't even know what they call them, windshield wipers, right? So you're holding yourself like this.
I do what I can't describe my windshield wiper, but it involves. Never mind. Go ahead, sir.
But you go like your legs go up and around, like, and you just almost like your legs are windshield wipers. That's one of the best exercises you can do.
You got to be on your back to do that.
You're almost hanging. Now you can hang, or you can almost like what I like to do is the one where you have the bars here and you're propelling yourself up, you're pushing yourself up.
Okay.
And you take your knees or your legs and then you do windshield wipers or you do circles or whatever. So if you can do anything, if you're out there, yes, the arms at this point in my life are all for show. Like I'm not looking to bench press any Cadillacs anytime soon. But I will tell you this, true story from the Yoakley files. Yesterday, I got the tractor stuck, the lawnmower, whatever you want to call it. We call it a tractor where I'm from. Got it stuck.
Got John Deere stuck right there in the middle of the mud.
Don't you dare. It was a Cub Cadet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Got that dang near Cub Cadet stuck down there in the mud. I don't know what the hell I was going to do.
I did. So, usually it's just we got a bad rain a couple days ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't think about it because we had beautiful weather.
That's it.
Well, I got it stuck, and my little girls are up there on the patio looking at what Daddy's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here comes Mrs. Yoakley, and she's telling me that we're going to dig it out. And I looked at it, and I feel bad. I barked at her, and I said, no, I'm going to do this. I had no idea what I was going to do.
Oh, boy.
So you can't let your little girls think that you got something stuck or broke something.
Sure.
So,
Gotta set an example.
So I picked up the tractor. I picked it up. They talk about the superhuman strength that you get if you're picking a car off of a.
Yeah.
I was not going to let those little girls see a loser that was down in the mud.
And dang there loser getting that Cub Cadet stuck in the mud. My daddy's a loser, I tell you what.
I picked it up. I got it. I was proud of myself. That was my win yesterday. And so the girls got ice cream because of it.
Well, there you go. You girls gave Daddy the strength, so they get ice cream out of the deal.
That's it.
Right.
Hey, big news. I told you when I came in here, our merch. I just got a message from our merch guy. YSN merch coming soon. And yes, as I promised you when you signed the paper, the first ever Ron Potesta merchandise is coming to YSN. It is going to be our first merchandise available for sale, and it is going to be awesome. I cannot wait.
This is frightening, what you guys are planning on doing.
So everybody goes back to the days of Bo Jackson and Bo knows football, Bo knows. Well, here at YSN, we have a little phrase that says Poe knows. Poe knows everything. Poe knows baseball. Poe knows Class B League. Poe knows everything. So we're just simply going to have a black shirt. Maybe we haven't decided on the color. It might be black. It might be blue, white, and red. But it's going to say Poe knows. Poe knows. And to market it, and this is going to be the most beautiful part.
Oh, Lord.
We are going to, and anybody who knows anything about Bo Jackson remembers the old Bo Jackson in the shoulder pads,
With
black
the
and
baseball.
white with the baseball bat across it. We're going to get Ronnie Potesta in a shoot to replicate that, and I'm excited for it because I think that's going to be a big time ticket.
As long as you're not taking a picture of the fat
Oh no, absolutely. That's in
beer
there.
gut that I got going on right now.
We have to get it in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a powder keg, right? We'll get it in there.
Yeah.
It's part of the marketability. Everybody loves Ron Potesta because you are you. And let's be honest, 3 months ago it'd be worse. But you're looking good, you're looking great, and you can use this as motivation if you want. And then worst case scenario, we'll cut another promo if you get to where you want to be, and then you can stand in front of the green
Do I get a
screen.
percentage of this merchandise?
You sure do.
Oh, there you go.
You
All
sure
right.
do.
Yeah, that's good.
You didn't even have to come up with it. I'm giving it to you out of blessings.
Did you guys get the blessing? Speaking of which, from Bo Jackson, because I'm sure that he's going to look at this and go, "Huh, this is familiar."
It's familiar, but it is not exactly the exact same. It's Ponos.
Oh, Lord.
Nice try, Bo.
Yeah, McDowell's.
That's it. That's it. We can play that game. We know how to do it.
Oh, God.
We know how to do that. No, we're excited. I mean, and I'll tell you what, the relationship that we've started and we will have with a company called Fresh Prints out of Youngstown, Prints. Check him out. Brent does a great job with all the shirts that he comes out with. We've got a nice deal with them that we'll be promoting them on our air. We'll be promoting not only are the shirts that he's going to be printing out, he's going to take care of the shipping and all that stuff, so we don't have to touch that stuff. It's local business, which you know is close to my heart.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And one of the things that I really love about him is he's super creative. He's a baseball guy, loves sports. His family loves sports. He's going through a hard time right now personally with some of the things in his family. So we're hoping that some of these shirt sales will help out his family as well. So we're excited. It's the brick by brick stuff that we've talked about that's literally on our wall. Barstool's come out with they're doing their brick by brick stuff, which has no correlation. I didn't even know Barstool existed until about a year and a half ago, and we've done brick by brick since the day we started. So we're gonna have a brick by brick shirt. I'm trying to think what else we sent over. There's 5 or 6 shirts we have that are gonna come out all at once. YSN versus the world, which I really love.
There you go.
But number one, as promised, is Poe knows. I can't wait for this. More than anything, I can't wait for the photo shoot because I think that needs to be documented in itself.
Yeah,
probably
there's a documentary waiting to happen.
I think there will be. And then the other thing, Ron, is we're going to try to make them as affordable as we can. I mean, the shirts,
absolutely.
The shirts aren't going to be $25, $30. We're going to try to get that magic mark at about $17, $18. We're not looking to get rich on them. We're looking for one of those opportunities to help out people in need, to promote, and also to see as people wearing our stuff. Because I know people love what we do, particularly here at YSN. And let's get people excited about wearing some of our stuff around.
No doubt. Hey, we had Munch on earlier today,
Yes, sir.
and we all wanted to give our odds as to Major League Baseball and the odds of them playing this year. I have it at 50-50 based upon the lack of negotiations right now. And there are some owners, unfortunately. I don't know if this is posturing or not. I hope and pray that it is. But there's reports that there are a number of owners that have said, we don't need baseball this year. We'll take our losses and jump into 2021, which scares the hell out of me. What do you think the chances of Major League Baseball being played this year?
I would say 75-25 yes. I think there's some honest concerns that I have. When they came out yesterday and they said that they would be willing to sit out this year and to cancel 2020 in order to get a salary cap basically in baseball.
Yeah.
That was a little concerning. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was one of the worst things that I've heard so far. I heard you say it earlier. Couldn't agree with you more. The people, millionaires and billionaires fighting about money is not good. It's not good at all, because baseball has had, and I think when this first came out, I said baseball has an opportunity to be a leader in this whole thing, and they haven't been. They've actually been the exact opposite of leadership and doing what you're supposed to do, and I think it's really unfortunate. I understand why. I mean, I don't think I'd want to take a pay cut. I saw yesterday, I think it was Bryce Harper was scheduled to make $36.8 million this year, something in that neighborhood. And, if they took the deal, he'd make 8, 7, something like that.
Yeah, no, and that's just absurd. You're not gonna get that.
And there's going to be people that are going to say, I wish I had the opportunity to make $8 million. Well, okay, then you did. You know what I mean? You did. Obviously we're not all cut out to be Bryce Harpers and Major League Baseball players, but listen, that's the going rate.
Exactly.
I understand that teachers deserve to be paid more.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the going rate in this country is what the teachers are being paid.
I get the feeling, though, that now that the parents have understood in the last couple of months what the teacher's job is like, I have a feeling the teachers are going to get paid a whole lot more money if the money
funds
is
are there.
there.
Yeah,
if the money is there.
But the problem is the money's never there, because everybody looks at teachers as if they're babysitters. They're educators. They're not babysitters.
No.
Parents will look at them as if they're, okay, as long as my kid is safe, alive, they come home at the end of the day off the bus or from school, then the teachers did their job. No. Teachers are there. Your job is to take care of your child. The teacher's job is to educate your child so they can go on and do great things. To your point, when a parent has to do multiple jobs, they have to teach their kid, make sure that they understand how to. Now you know. But also, we're not used to multitasking the way we have the last 3 months.
No, this is true.
This has been an unbelievable. How many plates can go spinning at one time? Now, some of us, I'm not going to say who, we are used to spinning 18 plates at one time.
This is true.
And others are not. And now it's completely evident. So I think there's. If you turn on the news right now, you're not going to see this, but I think there's a deeper appreciation for what everybody else does now, all the way down to banking.
I think so.
I really do. I think if you look at it, there's a deeper, but, like you kind of scraped over what's going on in the world right now.
Crazy.
The two greatest individuals who made a choice this weekend is the two that left the earth. What a fantastic opportunity for them.
No kidding.
Peace. We're out of here.
See ya. We're gonna miss out on Godzilla making his appearance, because we might as well, either Godzilla's making an appearance or Bigfoot is going to come out and say, yes, I'm real, and yes, I'm Bigfoot.
You know why I'm excited about baseball starting is because everything is completely ass on its head, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that means that the Pirates have a chance. When everything's backwards,
yep,
my buck goes right at the top of that list.
There you go.
And unfortunately, that means the Browns are at the top of the list too. So let's be careful about the 2020 NFL seasons, because that's.
Wouldn't that be weird if they didn't have the fans in the stands? And it's becoming more and more apparent that there's not going to be any fans in the stands. Wouldn't it be weird if it were the Browns' year to have this unbelievable run where they just run through the AFC and nobody's there to appreciate it? That is such a Browns story.
It is.
That is such a Browns story.
The same can be said for the Raiders. They build this brand new UFO stadium and nobody's there to enjoy. What do you do?
Yeah.
The graphics, all the stuff. You think football, yes, there's a game being played on the field, but 90% of everything else is for the fans.
Sure.
So what do you do when there's nobody there? All the graphics, all the stuff, the pump up music, you think it's loud when you're there. Imagine if there's nobody in the stadium and you're jamming that music.
That music is really loud.
It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I've been in an empty Quicken Loans arena when they've had their music turned on and all that other stuff.
Oh yeah,
that's insanely loud.
Oh yeah, people don't, because there's so many people there to absorb the sound, right?
Yeah.
You don't realize what it's like when, and especially in a in a closed stadium. If it's in an enclosed stadium like Las Vegas has now, you can pop the top off that place really quick.
I have a really good friend of mine. We went to broadcasting school together, and he has been the floor director for Indians baseball and Cavaliers basketball. He has to wear a one of those foam earplugs.
Yep.
Otherwise, he said his hearing would be
Gone.
screwed a million ways over if he didn't have the foam earplugs. That's how loud that place is.
And you don't realize. It's like going to a rock concert.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you realize it after the event. You realize, okay, that was loud. Your ears are ringing, and all that stuff. You get the tinnitus. But if you do it night after night, you think that's 82 game season. That's 41 games or so.
That's crazy.
41 rock concerts in a year. You're gonna go deaf.
One of the dumbest things. Can't say it's the dumbest thing. One of the dumbest things I ever did.
I got a follow-up question.
Well, no, I'll tell you the dumbest thing I ever did. That was just obscenely stupid, and it was on a dare when I was 19. I'll talk about it. But one of the dumbest things I've ever done. Martinsville, Virginia, has an unbelievably beautiful racetrack, but it's a very bullish type of track, half a mile, very tightly,
Yeah.
I've never gone to a NASCAR race before. Now, I've gone to Daytona, and again, I told the story when I was in Vero. We got a tour of the Daytona Motor Speedway, but I never saw a race there.
Yep.
I saw my first NASCAR race in Martinsville and did not have any
ear protection.
I thought I was going to die. I honest to God, every time the motors were started, I was in pain.
You feel it.
I was in pain in my ears, and I had to break down and buy one of those radio transmitter headphones, which were pretty cool at the time. But even then, that was you still heard and felt in your ears. Oh my God!
You can feel
that noise was insane.
You can feel it in your chest.
Yeah.
And people always give NASCAR like this. Oh, well, it's not really. And like, you've got to go and see NASCAR. Like, I was in the pits. The football team that they have in their pit crew.
Crazy.
These guys, some of them are actually guys that couldn't make in the NFL that are carrying around the gasoline, the fuel. Those things are humongous. They're
they're about 100 pounds.
If you take remember those propane tanks, those huge ones in yards?
Oh, yeah.
You turn that on its side. That's basically what they're carrying around.
Exactly. Those tires aren't exactly light.
No, and they're flinging those around like they're bicycle tires.
Yeah.
So, people look at that. You have to go to a NASCAR event to experience what it's like, because you want to talk about the most faithful fans in sports. That's NASCAR.
They're pretty good.
I would love to say football or baseball, but no, listen, if NASCAR, and one of the reasons NASCAR is back, and they really didn't have a break because they did the e-racing, is because their fans would have went nuts. Their fans would have absolutely, you want to talk about the looters and the rioters. You want to see NASCAR fans that don't have NASCAR? It'd be crazy. It would be very similar, because that's all they know. That's all they love. They live for it. And baseball fans, we're casual. Okay, hopefully baseball comes back. If it doesn't, we'll see. Football, I think you probably see a little bit more rabid from that.
I don't want to see if the NFL doesn't start up on time. I don't want to see the fans'
I think
reaction.
College football would be the closest thing to it.
Yeah, agreed.
Because there's a type of fan that, I'm not a real big college football fan. I follow YSU. I follow Westminster. I'm okay with Ohio State, and as I wear my Florida State hat, it's one of those. It's one of those things where I could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But I'm a baseball guy, so. But I think college football. If you did away with college football, people would lose their minds. They'd lose because there's such a window.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy.
No.
Yeah.
Because you look at Ohio State this year. Ohio State's going to be unbelievable. If you take a championship away from Ohio State, or don't play a season, and there's a chance that Ohio State wins a championship.
Oh, boy.
This place is going to be burning down. The Buckeye State is going to be a toasted Buckeye.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy. Like it's going to be like West Virginia all over again.
Oh, Lord.
No burning couches.
Horrible.
So you took 50-50 on baseball coming back.
Yes.
What did you take?
70-30.
Okay.
I think Munch said 60-40. Yeah.
60-40.
Yeah, Munch said 60-40.
In coming back.
Yes.
So no, I mean, I really do think it comes back. I think there's a long way to go. Like, you called it before it started. You said this is going to be a long road. But they don't have much road to go.
No. Look, I mean, if you want to start the season on July the 4th, which is perfection as far as I'm concerned, you better have the guys in camp by June the 10th. It's June the 1st. If you want to have the guys in camp by June the 10th, you got to have a deal done by Sunday, June the 7th.
This Sunday.
Yeah, this Sunday. In order to have these guys in camp by the 10th, you better get something done by the 7th.
I think there's a chance for it because before I came in here, I saw that the Nationals are going to pay their minor league players after all.
Good.
So things are starting to break down a little bit or speed up depending on which side of it you look. I think we'll get there. I really do. How about the NBA, though? No conversations about when it's going to start. Like,
They're hoping for the end of July, but I mean, Adam Silver's got everyone in such harmony right now. Frankly, I'd love for Major League Baseball to be in that much harmony.
But what do you like? I guess everybody wants it now, and I get it. I understand.
Sure.
But what do you do next season? Like, that's the problem.
It's going to have to be a shortened year,
which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous because we want to get back to normalcy.
Yeah.
But you look at the NHL playoffs; if they're not starting till August,
you're going to have you have to have free agency. You have to have the draft. You're not going to be able to do that in a 1 month span.
Well,
how fair is it going to be to tell the defending champs you have 1 month off and now your season starts in October? No, they're going to have a shortened season.
That party, though, if you're the champs, if you're the Stanley Cup winners, that is going to be the greatest party of all time.
Absolutely,
because you got to fit everything into that shortened window.
Absolutely, it's going to be an unbelievable time. Pass that cup around real quick and make it snappy.
It'll be. To me, the NHL playoffs is still the best in sports.
Oh God, I love it.
Still the best in sports.
Absolutely love it
because it is just so fast, so furious. Every play, there's something on the line.
Yeah,
naturally. I think I read that there's more Game 7s in NHL than any other sport on a regular basis, which makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, that's where you see all the teeth falling out. Is the playoffs?
Yeah, and the good news is because my Sabres haven't been in the playoffs in God knows how long, I don't have a playoff beard. So there you go. I don't need to grow a playoff beard because my team sucks.
I still want to see the beard with the new haircut. I think it would look good.
No,
very streamlined.
No, I gotta wait to lose some more of this.
See, you went
one or two of them left. I still get about 3 or 4 more left. As I've often said, I got more chins in the Chinese phone book. So 1 or 2 more of these have got to go.
But you had the full beard, and then you trimmed it down to like the evil Potesta goatee.
Yeah, the goatee. The doctor no goatee.
Evil Spock, as we call it.
Yeah, there you go.
So
get the hell out of my face, Captain Kirk.
That's it. There's no live long and prosper.
There's no logical about this. Get out of here.
Live short and die. But I mean, Anthony you talked about it earlier. I hate to bring it back up, but I mean, what were the crowds like at the softball fields?
No, they were pretty. It was pretty normal, like what you would expect when you go to a travel softball game. I mean, they were parked out in the outfield. If they were in I assume they were in the same family. They sat together. Most people, if there were groups and then 6 feet, and then groups and then 6 feet. But with some of those fields, there's no like stands to sit in.
Right.
You just kind of sit where you're sitting. And the game kept most of the guidelines. Ones I saw, Dana got phone calls about other games and other places that may have not kept all the guidelines, but the ones I saw kept them.
Well, here's the thing: they're guidelines. They're not mandatory. They released it from being mandatory to being guidelines. You can't call the cops and expect them to show up at a high school, or what do you call it?
I think in the last couple of days, they might be a little more concerned about other stuff than to go to a freaking softball
That's
game.
That's another story.
And you're 5 feet 10 inches away instead of 6 feet away? Yeah, I'm going to handcuff you and then throw you in jail. Stop.
It's a lot easier to tell the 16-year-old, 18-year-olds to stay within these guidelines than it is to watch 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds and try to get them to control and do it, because there are probably some 10-year-olds like, hey, where did Megan go? Oh, she's in the bathroom. She just ran out of the dugout. You know. So I bet it was a lot harder for the younger coaches to
like 10 U's.
Yeah, to kind of keep everyone in the same kind of guidelines, because they don't get it really if you're 10 years old.
So going on what you said, Ron, a lot of people have been reaching out to us and telling us that we should be putting out stuff about what's going on in the world. Point blank, what I'll tell you and what I've told everybody is we're a sports company.
Exactly.
We are aware of what's going on, but it's our job to inform and entertain on sports and sports-related subjects. We don't have an opinion either way. We support our student athletes. We support our people. We don't care the color, the gender, the sexual preference. We don't care about that stuff. What we care about is people that care about sports and love sports and play sports. That's who we care about. That's who we love. That's our stance on it. But that being said, if you're looking for a great stance and a leadership stance, we just shared it on our social media page, something that Dan Reardon shared 2 or 3 days ago.
Oh, yeah.
And
phenomenal.
He really hit the nail on the head as it pertains to kind of where we stand from internal. So if you're looking for a good read and a compassionate read and a short read, check out YSN Facebook right now. It's got Dan Reardon's, because he is in a position that he's had to overcome some of these problems. And I know Dan pretty well, I would say. We've golfed a couple times. We've had great conversations. I consider him a friend, and I think that he hit the nail dead on the head with this one. And again, we don't. I never say that black, white, yellow, red, whatever color it doesn't matter to me.
Not at all.
At the end, it doesn't matter. It matters you do your job and you do it well and you put your
Exactly.
heart into it. We care about the color of your heart, not the color of your skin. So I guess that's the best way to put it.
Now, having said that, kudos to the mayor of Youngstown and everyone that kept everyone under wraps and under control. And
For the most part, yeah. There was a couple
of
bubbles.
out-of-towners that did what they did.
But I will say this. I mean, I was in contact with Jack Gerdick earlier today. I think this is far from over because what time?
Well, there's one up in Warren in about an hour.
2:58, and they're closing down Youngstown right now. A lot of it because 4:00 they're expecting another one in Youngstown. I think Struthers. I think that's what I heard. In the local area is how it was described to me. So on behalf of all of us at YSN, and I say this because I can, just be safe. Be safe.
Absolutely.
Be smart. No problems with protest, peaceful protest, but violence never solves anything.
Nope.
Ever.
Sure don't.
Because violence creates violence.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
how about you guys, and everybody heard it, and you probably didn't see on YSN how pissed I was. Like, we got weed whackers going on.
Right.
We got, lawnmower. Like, what the hell is going on here?
Pay no attention to that lawnmower in the back while we're doing an interview.
I swear it wasn't me.
Hang on a second. I got Eddie Albert back there doing his Oliver Douglas
Bring him in. Let's talk to
impersonation.
him, sir.
And then you got the idiot, me, that opens up the door in the middle of your interview to yell at the guy,
Yeah.
and he's right next. As soon as I open the door, he's right there.
Yeah, and I'm hearing it louder. So
Hey,
it's
that's
like-
that's on me. And I give him a stern look, and he just kind of looks at me like, "Who are you? Like,
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah.
Go wash the dishes."
And all I have is the Green Acres theme going into my head. It's just, okay. This
Well, who
is-
was on Munch? It was Munch,
Yeah,
right?
it was Munch was
Munch
on.
is sitting there probably like, what the hell is
Yeah.
going on? And he's Palestine.
I gotta give him a call and say, did you like the tractor noise in the background? That's
I wanted to cover for it, but they're like, it's a weed whacker on the back.
God. Between that and Anthony getting that godforsaken J.G. Wentworth commercial in my head. Unbelievable.
That's a catchy one. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah. I want my baseball now, and I need it now. Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 now.
But I'll tell you what, everybody knows that number.
Oh, yeah.
It's a hell of a lot easier than 886-0813.
Yeah.
we gotta come up with a
Call
jingle.
YSN 8860813. Call now.
See, there it is. That's all we gotta do.
All right, on that crazy note, we're out of here. Oh, God. Wednesday can't come fast enough.
Come on, Wednesday.
Oh, Lordy. Back in 48 hours or so. Well,
Power Hour tomorrow.
Actually, 45 hours. Power Hour tomorrow, noon to 3. We will talk on Wednesday, noon to 3. It is Running Point on ysnlive.com. See ya.